Why Dorit Kemsley doesn't want to divorce PK. Dorit Kemsley's complicated estrangement from Paul PK Kemsley has been a major talking point on season 14 of The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, but the diamond holder still isn't sure what she wants to happen with her marriage. During a candid moment on The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills after show, Dorit spoke to castmate Bozoma St. John about how neither she nor PK knows what to do next. "I don't think PK wants to get divorced," Dorit admitted, which you can see for yourself by watching the video at the top of this post. Boz then asked Dorit what she thinks PK is doing. "That's what I'm trying to understand," Dorit candidly responded. "I think he needs to understand what he's doing before I can understand what he's doing. It's very complex." Dorit confirmed that PK has been in therapy, but she's been struggling to see the results. "That is unfortunately what makes me feel less and less optimistic," the mom of two continued. "Now, I'm not suggesting that I know what I want. Because, Boz, I'm not in a place where I can tell you, I really want this or I really want that. I don't think I am. I don't know." "I would say you don't want a divorce," Boz said. "Really, I don't. But I don't necessarily know if I want marriage," Dorit said. "It may also be true that you don't want to be married to him right now," Boz said. "To the him that he is right now, or the him that was him. You might want to be married to the future him, but maybe you don't know who the future him is, and that's what you're waiting for. And that is Oak." "Absolutely, 1,000%, Dorit agreed. Where do Dorit Kemsley and PK Kemsley stand today? After going through periods of not speaking during season 14, Dorit confirmed that she's rarely in touch with PK these days. "As of a week ago, I've chosen not to have much of a relationship with him," she told host Andy Cohen and the other RHOB ladies on the reunion stage. How Dorit and PK Kemsley are co-parenting. The estranged spouse's main priority at the moment is their children, Jagger Kemsley and Phoenix Kemsley. Dorit opened up about how often PK sees the kids on the reunion. "He sees them on Saturday night if he's in town," she said. The Unraveling Threads, a story of Dorit and PK Kemsley's complex love. In the golden glow of Los Angeles, where the palm trees sway and the wealth of the city buzzes like an undercurrent, Dorit Kemsley sat on the edge of a chaise lounge, the soft hum of the ocean just beyond her window. The sun, sinking into the horizon, cast a warm, amber hue across the sprawling Beverly Hills mansion that had become both her sanctuary and her prison. There was a tension in the air that evening, one she couldn't shake. She wasn't sure what tomorrow would bring, or whether she could even begin to shape it into something that made sense. But she knew one thing for certain: the man she had once called her partner, the man who had been her world, was no longer the same. Dorit ran her fingers through her hair, the sleek blonde strands now slightly frayed from the weight of her thoughts. As a successful businesswoman, a reality star, and the mother of two young children, her life appeared picture-perfect from the outside. Yet behind the walls of her home, the picture was fractured, cracks that could no longer be hidden behind the polished smile she so often wore for the cameras. She thought back to that conversation with Bozoma St. John, one of the few people she felt could truly understand her. It had taken place on the set of The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills reunion, where the women sat in their designer gowns, their sharp words cutting through the tension in the air like glass. The topic of her marriage to PK had been a central theme, and Dorit had been caught between what she felt and what she thought was expected of her. The truth was more complex than she could articulate, but she tried anyway. "I don't know what I want," Dorit had said in that raw moment, her voice trembling with the weight of her uncertainty. Boz had leaned in, a knowing look in her eyes. "You don't want a divorce," she had offered, as though it was the answer Dorit needed to hear. But Dorit had shaken her head, her chest tightening. "I don't necessarily know if I want marriage." Those words had hung in the air like a veil she couldn't remove. The truth was that she wasn't sure what she wanted anymore. Dorit was caught in a liminal space, a place of ambiguity where the past and the future collided. She wasn't sure if she could continue on the path she had walked with PK, but she wasn't ready to step away either. The love they once shared felt distant, like a fading echo in the corners of her mind. At the heart of her uncertainty was PK himself, the man she had married, the man who had once been her partner in every sense of the word, was no longer the same. Dorit could feel it. There was a distance between them that couldn't be bridged by therapy sessions, counseling, or even shared history. He was struggling, and she was struggling to understand him. He had tried to get help, and while that was a step in the right direction, Dorit found herself frustrated by the lack of progress. She had hoped that therapy would bring about change, but it felt like a slow and painful process with no clear resolution in sight. "I think he needs to understand what he's doing before I can understand what he's doing," she had confessed, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. It was clear that their estrangement had reached a breaking point. Dorit's admission about their strained relationship was not just for the cameras, it was a cry for clarity in the face of overwhelming confusion. She wasn't sure where the relationship would go, and she wasn't sure if she even had the energy to try to fix it. But what she did know was that she couldn't keep living in the fog. In the days that followed, Dorit found herself more and more withdrawn, her days filled with endless obligations, meetings, and events. Things she had once eagerly attended, but now felt like distractions from the emotional pain she was carrying. She had always been known for her ability to juggle everything with a smile, but now the smile felt like a mask she could no longer hold up. As she sat on the chaise lounge, her phone buzzed with a message from PK. It was a simple text, nothing extraordinary, but to Dorit, it felt like a lifeline to the past. She had read it several times, each time analyzing the words, searching for meaning. PK had said, "Let's talk soon." The words were innocent enough, but to Dorit, they carried a weight she wasn't sure she could bear. She thought about the times they had spent together, long dinners, romantic weekends away, and the way he had once looked at her with so much love in his eyes. Those moments felt like a lifetime ago, and now they were overshadowed by the complexities of their current reality. The kids, that was the one thing that still kept them tethered. Their two children, Jagger and Phoenix, were their shared joy, the constant in their lives amidst the chaos. Dorit had always believed that they could get through anything for their kids, but lately, even that conviction had begun to waver. She had tried to maintain a sense of normalcy for them, but the strain between her and PK was evident. As much as she wanted to protect them from the pain of a fractured marriage, Dorit knew that the truth was inevitable. Jagger and Phoenix were growing older, more perceptive. They could sense when things were off, and though Dorit tried to shield them from the worst of it, she knew they weren't blind to the tension between their parents. PK sees them on Saturdays if he's in town. Dorit had explained during the reunion. It wasn't much, but it was something. She tried not to let the reality of their situation sink in too deeply, but it was hard. Her heart ached for them, for the family they once were, and for the family they were trying to become. Still, despite all the uncertainty, there was a part of Dorit that refused to give up entirely. There was a part of her that still held out hope, for herself, for her children, and for the man who had once been her everything. But as the days passed, it became clear that hope alone might not be enough to heal what had been broken. The evening of reckoning, it was a quiet evening when PK arrived at the house. The air had a crispness to it, a sign that the seasons were changing. Dorit stood by the large windows, watching as he pulled into the driveway. She wasn't sure what to expect, but as he walked up to the door, her heart began to race. "Hi," he said softly when she opened the door, his voice filled with a mixture of tenderness and uncertainty. "Hi," she replied, stepping aside to let him in. There was a heaviness in the air between them, a silence that neither of them seemed willing to break. For a moment, neither of them spoke. The sound of the clock ticking on the wall filled the room, as if time itself was waiting for something to happen. I've been thinking a lot about us, PK said after a long pause, his gaze avoiding hers. Dorit nodded, her throat tight. I've been thinking a lot too. About what? He asked, finally meeting her eyes. She took a deep breath, gathering the courage to say the words that had been swirling in her mind for weeks. I don't know what I want anymore, PK. I don't know if I want this, us, the way we are right now.